Picture a warehouse in Ohio. It is January 2025. Workers are sorting boxes marked Made in Canada. Suddenly, their supervisor gets a phone call. By noon, every single box is heading back across the border. Those workers do not know it yet, but their jobs just became a political football in a game being played between two countries. Now picture a farm in Iowa. Corn growing tall, waiting for buyers. For years, China bought that corn. But in 2025, something changed. Beijing made a deal with Brazil instead. Iowa farmers lost a customer they had worked with for decades. These two scenes are connected. They are part of a story that most news channels are only starting to show you. In the next 10 minutes, I am going to explain exactly what happened and why it matters to you personally. Not as a political argument, as a fact-based look at a trade war that is changing the world economy in real time. Let us start simple. What is actually happening right now? The United States under the Trump administration put heavy taxes called tariffs on goods coming in from China. China responded by putting their own tariffs on American products. Then Canada got caught in the middle. Mark Carney, who just became Canada's Prime Minister in March 2025, is now dealing with a situation where his country's products face American taxes. His response has been to look for new trading partners. That means Canada is buying less from the United States and selling more to Europe and Asia instead. Who are the main players here? Donald Trump is the former president who started the aggressive tariff policy. His administration argued that tariffs would bring manufacturing jobs back to America. Mark Carney is the new Canadian Prime Minister. He trained as an economist and ran the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. He now faces the task of protecting the Canadian economy while finding new trade partners. China is the world's second biggest economy and has been actively seeking new customers as American markets close to them. Why should you care? If you buy anything in a store, these trade decisions affect prices. If you work in manufacturing, farming, or tech, your job market is being reshaped right now. If you pay taxes, money is being spent on trade disputes that could affect your interest rates. This is not a distant story. This is your economic future. The backstory starts in 2018. That year, the United States started putting tariffs on China. The reason given was that China was stealing American technology and giving it to Chinese companies. The World Trade Organization, a global group that regulates trade, said some of these tariffs broke international rules. But the United States ignored that and kept going. In 2020, the two countries signed something called the Phase 1 trade deal. China agreed to buy more American products. But by 2025, reports from Bloomberg and Reuters suggest China never fully met those promises. Trade analysts believe the deal created tension but not real change. Then in early 2025, Trump came back into office and escalated everything. New tariffs hit China at rates not seen since the Great Depression. China did not back down. Instead, they started buying corn from Brazil, soybeans from Argentina, and technology parts from other countries. They began finding alternatives to American products entirely. This matters because for decades, the United States was the #1 trading partner for many countries. That status is now being tested. When countries like Canada and Mexico lose access to American markets, they do not just stop trading. They find new partners. And once those new partnerships are built, they do not go away easily. That is why today, Canada is signing trade deals with the European Union. That is why China is deeper than ever with Brazil and Southeast Asia. Those decisions made in 2025 will shape the global economy for the next 20 years. Now, here is where things get really interesting. The first thing you need to understand is scale. The United States and China together make up about 40% of the global economy. When they stop trading smoothly, the whole system feels it. The IMF reported in April 2025 that global trade growth slowed to its lowest point since the 2008 financial crisis. That is not just a number. That means fewer ships moving goods, fewer factories running full-time, and fewer jobs being created. One shipping company executive told Reuters that container traffic between the US and China dropped 23% in the first quarter of 2025. 23%. Imagine if 1/4 of all trucks on American highways just stopped running. That is the size of this shift. The second thing happening is something economists call decoupling. That means countries are intentionally building separate systems instead of one connected global economy. For example, China is now building its own computer chip industry because American sanctions cut off their access to the best chips. This costs billions of dollars. But analysts at the World Bank say it is actually working slowly. China is producing more of its own technology, which means eventually they will need fewer American products. This is not just about trade. It is about who controls the future of technology. The third thing happening is the Canada effect. Mark Carney took office promising to fight back against American tariffs, but his strategy was not to fight alone. He went to Europe. He went to Asia. He signed new trade deals worth what analysts estimate at 25 billion Canadian dollars in new exports over 5 years. That is money that would have gone to American companies. Some people in Canada are calling this a success. Some Americans are calling it a betrayal. The truth is more complicated. Carney did not attack America. He simply found new customers when America stopped buying. One expert named Dr. Jennifer from the Peterson Institute told Bloomberg that what we are watching is the end of the assumption that free trade is inevitable. Countries are choosing who they trade with based on politics, not just prices. That is a massive shift from how the global economy has worked for 30 years. These three developments are connected. When China decouples, American companies lose sales. When Canada finds new partners, American farmers lose buyers. When tariffs go up, prices go up for everyone. The big picture is this. The global trading system that existed after World War II is being rebuilt, and every country is fighting to be in a better position when the new system is finished. Now let me show you 3 ways this could play out. The first possibility is de-escalation. That means the United States and China negotiate a new trade deal. Both sides feel pain from the current situation. American farmers want their Chinese customers back. Chinese manufacturers want access to American technology again. If both governments decide the pain is too high, they could reverse course. If this happens, you would likely see gas prices stabilize within 90 days. Grocery prices would slowly fall as supply chains normalize. Nobody knows for certain if this will happen, but it is a real path. The second possibility is fragmentation. That means the current situation continues and countries permanently rearrange their trade relationships. Brazil keeps selling corn to China. Canada keeps selling cars to Europe. American farmers find new customers in Africa and Southeast Asia, but those markets are smaller and harder to reach. If this happens, you would see some American products become more expensive because they no longer benefit from mass production at global scale. You would also see new industries emerge in America to replace what was lost. That process would take years and would not be easy. The third possibility is escalation. That means new technologies like artificial intelligence become the next battleground. Both countries try to cut off the other's access to key technologies. This would affect not just trade, but military capabilities and scientific research. If this happens, you would see new restrictions on phones, computers, and internet services. Prices for technology would go up. Some apps and services might stop working in certain countries entirely. Which of these plays out depends on decisions being made right now in rooms most of us will never see. What we know is that all 3 are possible. None of them are certain. Here is how this touches your life directly. Think about the last time you bought a phone or a laptop. The components inside those devices come from many countries. If tariffs make those components more expensive, your new phone costs more. If your son or daughter is looking for a manufacturing job, the jobs that used to exist in those factories are changing. Some are coming back to America, but they are more automated. That means fewer positions, but different skills required. If you buy groceries, you already paid part of this cost. Grain prices affect bread, cereal, and meat prices. When China stopped buying American corn, American farmers sold it somewhere else, which changed prices in ways that took time to settle. That trickled down to your grocery bill. If you have a savings account or a retirement fund, the stock market swings caused by trade uncertainty have already affected your numbers. Markets hate uncertainty. Every headline about new tariffs moves money around in ways that feel abstract until you check your retirement account. The connection feels distant because it happens in news broadcasts and policy papers, but it lands on your kitchen table, your gas station, and your job search. The worker in that Ohio warehouse did not choose this fight, but he is living in it. The real question I keep coming back to is this. When countries build new trade relationships because their old partners became unreliable, is that a sign of strength or a failure of the old system? I genuinely do not know the answer. Some people say Carney is abandoning a close ally. Others say he is doing exactly what any leader should do when their people's jobs are at stake. What do you think? If you want to understand the stories behind the headlines, not just the headlines themselves, subscribe. I put out new videos every week that break down the global shifts happening right now in plain language. Next time, we are going into something that most channels are not covering yet. The race to control artificial intelligence between America and China has entered a new phase, and the implications are bigger than most people realize. Stay tuned for that one.